Welcome to the YouTube channel of Michael J. Swanson. Michael is the author of How David Beats Goliath and is the CEO of Advocate Capital.
Hello and welcome back. This is Mike Swanson, and joining me today via Google Hangout is Stuart Carpey, a premier trial attorney from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's been in the news a lot about brain injuries, especially with NFL players, and so I invited Stuart to spend a few minutes with us to talk about brain injuries, since he's one of the experts in that area and represents a lot of folks with brain injuries. And he was educating me earlier that not all brain injuries are particularly obvious or even severe, but they're very real. And so, Stuart, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Mike. I'm pleased to be with you this day, and I'm happy to speak to you about this very, very important subject.
Right. So tell us about this. We've all heard of brain injuries before, something very traumatic. But what is a mild brain injury, and tell us more about that.
There is no such thing as a mild brain injury. It is a term that's used, but any brain injury can be a major problem for the accident victim. So I see it every day in my practice. I have represented brain injury clients of mine for the last 26 years, and as more and more is being studied and the public is being informed, as you just mentioned, for instance, about the NFL case, the public is becoming more aware of even what seems like a not-so-severe concussion can result in cognitive defects, cognitive problems that create everyday problems in the workplace, at home, and just the ability to function. So what we see in, for instance, a typical fall down or motor vehicle accident case. It doesn't have to be a rear end collision, it could be an angled collision, it can be anything. Whether or not the damage to the vehicle is severe or not, or whether or not the actual impact to the ground in a fall down case or that type of setting is severe or not, depending on how the brain moved around inside the skull, can create a very, very severe impact inside the skull and cause various forms of brain damage and cognitive function. So what we advise our clients to do is to get the full gamut of whatever is appropriate evaluations and medical care. And for each patient, for each situation, it might be different, but the bare bones are from primary care physician to neurologist to probably an MRI to probably a neuropsychologist. And between those four evaluators, the patient, the client, can get a pretty good idea of what's going on, and then there are mechanisms and there are tools that the accident victim can use to compensate for what's going on. Some types of some of these brain injuries can resolve, some don't. So as we've seen in what the public has become aware of, and what we've been aware of for people that have dealt with these types of cases, in the athletic injuries, whether it's hockey, football, or whatever, it become very severe deficits for the players, and the impacts that they've sustained are not necessarily a whole lot more drastic or severe than what we see in accident cases. Yes, they've been repetitive, and that creates a whole set of problems, a whole new set of problems for cognitive dysfunction. But we see it every day in our motor vehicle type cases and fall down cases, and it's typically in conjunction with a neck injury, so it's not atypical. It's pretty usual for some sort of brain injury if there's been a severe enough impact. Doesn't have to be a huge impact, but it has to be some kind of impact, and can result in cognitive dysfunction.
Now, what are some of the kind of challenges that you face in a brain injury case where maybe the brain injury isn't obvious? The plaintiff's able to walk into the courtroom and they seem to the jury to be functioning. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. No outward signs. They're walking, they're talking. There's no fractures. There's no broken bones. There's no objective testing that on its face shows a cognitive dysfunction. There are some tests that neurologists and neuropsychologists can do to pair out what exactly is going on, and that's what you need for someone like me to piece together the medical evidence. We need specialists that are willing to do the tests on the patient and that are willing to work together in order to put it all together, come up with the diagnosis, provide the reports that we need so that we can show the other side, that's the insurance company and the defense attorney, and then be prepared to come to court to testify as to exactly what their patient suffered from, how it happened, what the mechanism of injury is, and how cognitively the patient has changed and will be affected over either a short or long period of time. That's how we piece it together, and that's the only way a jury's going to understand it.
Well, if someone's watching this video and they'd like to contact you to ask more questions about whether it's just brain injuries generally or if they think they may have a case of some sort and need some help, how would they do that?
Two ways. My website, carpeylaw.com, or they can email me at scarpey@carpeylaw.com, and I'd be happy to help out and happy to respond.
Well, I really appreciate you spending time with us today to help shed some light on this important and really recent topic with all the NFL cases and such. Right. So we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Enjoyed it.
Thanks for watching. Send your questions or comments to Michael at mike@howdavidbeatsgoliath.com.